Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion Distory. I am your host, your ghost host. And with me, of course, will be Kate, the Disney Cicerone, who is also the exceptional and well-versed in the Haunted Mansion. So thank you so much for everybody. We'll give this about 2 seconds. I am looking up one more thing that I can get a video from or a picture from the Seance Room. I want to pull up the... what is this thing called? The Book of the Dead. Book of the Dead in the Haunted Mansion. Oh. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Not as good as last week because I was in Disneyland, but I'm still good. How about you?
Well, yeah, I mean it's hard to be better than actually in your most happy place. So, yeah, no, I'm doing well. Doing well. I rode Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah, I saw you were going to do that. Wasn't able to catch it, but
It is very, very good. I got the
wait.
Gloria Estefan song for what do you call it? Conga. Let me do that conga.
Oh, that's
Do
fun.
any
That's like
longer. And I will tell you, the song choice, and I think there's 6 or maybe 8 songs that you can get. Depending on the song that you get, it dramatically changes the experience. Because the very first time that I rode Cosmic Rewind, I got Disco Inferno, and I'll be honest with you, Disco Inferno not really my thing, so it kind of took me out. Where Gloria Estefan, totally guilty pleasure, and it was fantastic. I look forward to getting like Earth, Wind, and Fire and a couple of these other ones. Hunt, can you hand me those over there? I also have one more quick piece of housework. These hot off the presses swim trunks. So I finally got my swim trunks. I had waited probably about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Yeah, so about 2.5 weeks because these get cut and sewn, made to order. The rule of thumb is, and I have to change the sizing chart because for some reason it only shows half sizes, is I sized up. These are an extra large. I think they go all the way up to 3XL, and I'm like a size 36 waist. Plenty of room in them, and they do have a twist tie. So, but yeah, swim trunks are in. All right. Sorry.
that's awesome. They look
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
No, that's
exciting.
fabulous.
So, all right, today's the day. Let me do our intro here. Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Distory Part 27, where we actually are in the Haunted Mansion, and tonight we will be going over not only a little brief picture back into the endless hallway, and then over into the seance room, then into the
Yeah.
ballroom. And that's probably all we're going to get to because there's a lot to cover, both in practical effects and storyline, and lots of artifacts for us to show. So, with me, as always, for Distory is going to be my second star to my right, our ghost co host, Kate, the Disney Cicerone. How are you doing tonight, Kate?
Oh, I'm doing fabulous. I love talking about the Haunted Mansion. I could talk about it for years probably and never get through all the things. I'm
Yeah.
glad that we're in part a million. I don't know. Like
Yes.
million
Yes.
27.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Can't
So you had
wait. Should we see what the jar gives us today for
oh
sound effects?
yeah.
Be sure to bring your death certificate.
Your death certificate. Ooh, and that's a Hatbox Ghost you have back there. Or is that Ezra?
I feel like it's an ending one.
Who's Kate? Who's your ghost in that jar? Kate.
Um, hold on, my connection's a little bit fuzzy. Hold on,
Okay. All right.
fix it. I, okay, this one is Victor Geist, the organist, in this one.
Oh, the organist.
So
Which
you kind
I
of
just
see
found
him
another
when I.
detail of the organist.
Friends
Uh,
in ominous
I found a.
spirits
Sorry, now she's gonna go on for.
who
She's not done.
travel from near and far, all invited to reside in a jar.
Sorry,
Oh,
that took forever.
that's a new phrase. That's a new phrase though.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was the former Imagineer Kevin Lively told me that he actually worked on these concepts for these jars, and he helped write
Oh,
them.
cool.
And originally, they wanted it to be so you took a jar home, with you with a ghost in it. And they said, well, no, only the person that can like do this with ghosts is Madame Leota. So it can be Madame Leota like inviting a ghost to kind of like stay in your jar, but it can't be like you take a ghost home because they live in the mansion. So
It's a genie in a bottle. You gotta rub me the right way.
is it still wonky? A lot of people are saying I'm cactusing. Am I still cactusing?
For me, you're aces, but that I can't describe for everybody else.
Okay.
But yeah, it
Everybody
seems
else.
like anybody in here, is anybody having trouble with Kate? She's good on our ends. Good for you. Yeah, no, it seems like you are bebop and rock steady over on this side. So yeah.
Whew. Oh yeah.
Now listen, Kate, you're the one who wants to bring us back in time. As if we can't enjoy enough Haunted Mansion, we've got to go a little bit backwards to start off because it seems like you've uncovered, like a good historian, some more information. So why don't you take it away with what you have uncovered in some of the previous areas?
Yeah, I feel like we kind of just rushed through a lot of the things. And because I was running to the Haunted Mansion last time, and I was like, wait, I have facts about that, but I can't like navigate through crowds. So I'd like to rewind just a little bit. And we're going to
Cosmic
go...
Rewind.
Perfect day for it, right? We're going to cosmic rewind back to the endless hallway. Wait, no, before that, let's do the music room really quick because that one's a small one. That one's mostly in, that one is only in Florida. It's not in the Disneyland version.
Gina, close out your app and bring it back in, and that'll fix it. I had that problem all day today because she's aces on mine, and it looks like everybody else is good. So just exit out and enter back in if anybody's having trouble.
I was on my Wi-Fi and it was weird, so I switched to my cell phone. So hopefully it's better now. So
no, you look great.
So the music room, I only have a couple of small things for it. One, if you don't know what we're talking about, is this room, which of course has the ghost host playing the piano with the silhouette, right? Mm-hmm. If you look in the window, there is the trees themselves. Those branches were actually cut off of like trees from Disney property and then covered in resin. So that's one small fun little fact there. And then
dead trees embalmed, if you will, in resin, right?
Brilliant. Yes, absolutely. And then the cloud projections that happen back in the window there, they are done by something called like a 10 by 10 projector, which looks kind of like this, which is an effect that Yale Gracie made that is used also in Pirates of the Caribbean for like the clouds that you see. And it's in the Disneyland version of the Haunted Mansion. Like when you first get in your dune buggy, there's a whole bunch of clouds. So the clouds it's made by like a die cut like shape that rotates around, and then a whole bunch of like mirrors and diffuse lens that project it into a 10 by 10 area, and that's how you get that cloud effect. But it's used over and over again in a lot of these classic attractions. But it was developed by Yale Gracie.
You said it was die cut. What's the material or the substrate that it's? Is it something that's somewhat translucent, or is it completely solid? The object that's rotating, or the blocker, the light blocker.
I think it is solid, but it has shapes cut out into it, and they're kind of like jagged shapes for these because they didn't want like specific clouds, you know, like pretty little cloud floating by the Haunted Mansion. So these are more like jagged shapes. And then they do a couple like mirrors and diffuse lens to just kind of like blow it up and distort it so you can't really tell what it is. That
diffused lens is really what I'm thinking here, is because otherwise you would use like not like a wax paper, but like a parchment paper would give you that effect too. So that's interesting. Very cool.
Yeah. And so the other parts are, we did add some instruments to it. Back in 2007, they added, I'll put it back up here. They added the double bass, and they added the music stand, the violin, which is all kind of a nod to the original Ken Anderson and Exitensio concept art of both these movies. So, and the piano itself, there was a lot of rumors that it came from the Queen Mary, which Disney used to own, which is like a super old ship, kind of like Titanic era ship. But it didn't come from the Queen Mary. It probably came from like Disney's prop storage area, because they think it was probably used in the movie The Adventures of Bullwhip Griffin, which is like, I think, an old Western.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, to be honest. I have not seen that movie. Very old, 1967, I think, movie. But then the piano itself is it's a late 19th century piano made by Shoemaker and Company in Philadelphia. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
a
piano.
very famous piano manufacturer. Just being outside of Philadelphia, we would see them quite literally. Almost every nice hotel had one of those.
Yeah. So probably not from the Queen Mary, although Victoria says she's been on the Queen Mary, which is really neat. I've never been on.
And of course, our pianist would be the ghost host himself.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, Kate, I was explaining to my daughters the Sinister 11 when we were in the loading area, and it was giving all the backstory. And a CM was following us and saying, "How do you know this much?" And I was like, "I just read a lot and talk about the Haunted Mansion." And she really firmly believes that the ghost host name is Beauregard, which we know that is really from the defunct walkthrough ride. But it's interesting how much this oral history of the Haunted Mansion gets obscured through lore and being taught. I'm sure they were taught by somebody else who said for certainty, and there is a little bit of backstory to that, but yet still not confirmed. We only call him Hatchet Man, which
Yeah.
is a horrible name to call him. I'm sure at school he got bullied for being called Hatchet Man, but you know.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I've heard a lot of people do say that, and this like there's so much history that gets very mixed up for the Haunted Mansion that a lot of people are like, this is this, and we'll even get to one. Well, I'll say it now, but like when we get to the ballroom, a lot of people will say that the hidden Mickey plates that are sitting on the table are a thing. And I'm like, well, they're only there because the cast members go in and move them to
Hmm.
make hidden Mickeys. And then when WDI comes in, Imagineering comes in, and they reset it, they do an inspection, they'll actually move it back because it's not supposed to have a hidden Mickey in the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, so ours never has a hidden Mickey ever, ever. I don't think CMs have access to it anymore where they used to. I think it's only mechanics, are allowed to go down there if there's an issue with the Pepper's Ghosts, or some of the effects or something. So, although that doesn't really break down often, I had one time the attic scene where the mechanics room. There's a mechanics room in the WDW version in the attic that has a giant rolling sliding door that slides open from the attic, and it's just a machining shop in there, and it's huge. And one time we were stuck, the lights were still off, but we were stuck, and you could see into the mechanic shop, and I was like, "This is ridiculously cool, and I'm not supposed to see this." You
Did
know?
you take a picture of it?
No, I was like too awestruck, going like, "Is that an auger? What is that?" It honestly was like a pegboard just filled with tools and like drawers filled with parts. So I mean, there's a lot. Haunted Mansion breaks down a decent amount, so there it would make sense that they would have like a machining shop right there to be able to service it consistently. So,
Oh,
yep.
for sure. And that's and I know that the cast members also used to throw their shoes when they retired from the Haunted Mansion. They used to throw their shoes in the attic, and it
Oh
created
yeah.
like piles of shoes in the attic. And then eventually they were just like, you got to stop doing this because it's like ruining the sets. And now they put them in the urns near the loading area, from what I hear. So if you look inside
What's
them, there's the
so
shoes.
I will look at the urns in the loading area to see if I find shoes next time.
I think
But
you have to like peek in them. I don't think you can see it when you're on the ride. So it's
okay,
like,
never
yeah,
mind. It's not a
yeah.
thing.
But if you see it, just look for the urns to see if
Okay,
you see them.
I'll ask a CM like, are there shoes in there? Is there a Foot Locker going on? What's happening? What is it with CMs and shoes? When they retire, usually there's a fireworks cruise that leaves from Wilderness Lodge and it goes by Discovery Island and a couple other places, and like over by Discovery Island, there is a tree called the shoe tree where every CM when they're done, they'll tie their shoelaces together and they'll throw them up into the trees. And maybe it's only a certain group of CMs, like people who are in either transportation or whatever, but like I don't know what it is with shoes, but when you retire, I hope you don't have nice shoes because you got to give them up to Disney.
They're probably those like work shoes that are non-slip or whatever, that nobody really likes to wear anyway. So, but
Hmm.
Victoria says foot urn. I love that. I love that phrase. It's awesome.
Yeah. Hmm.
um. So anyway, little tangent there. That was
So
fun.
that was the musical room.
That was
Where are we
the
headed
music.
next?
Yes. So we did some talking about the other things that are kind of in between there, but I'd love to go to the endless hallway because there's some things to say. And this is I wish this wasn't going to be reversed, but this is an actual like blueprints of the Haunted Mansion. And this is the Florida version, and I'll zoom in for you guys. This is for sure the Florida version. And then it says piano, which you can't see right here. And then there, you can see the endless hallway is right above it. That's the way that it's laid out. So if you go back from the beginning, I'll zoom out. Here's the stretching room is in the yellow, right? And then you load, and then you go through. You're going to go through the load area, the gallery, the library, and you get to the piano. So the music room is actually adjacent to, parallel to the endless hallway. So what's in the back of the music room is like it's just a black sheet that's hanging up, which is hanging off of the backside of the endless hallway. So they're connected in that way. That's my segue.
Oh, well, yeah, they had to put the endless hallway somewhere, so you might as well play some music next to it.
Yes.
The candelabra is just knocking on the door. Can you knock it off? I'm trying to sleep, man. Seriously. I got the worst roommates.
Oh my gosh, thank you for that, Kirk. I need to laugh this week. So the endless hallway didn't originally have a candelabrum in it. It had it was going to be an effect where a ghost would actually have footsteps coming towards you and rush over your head. And that is why they say...
Why isn't that there? That would be so amazing.
Yeah, well, it kind of... The sound effects kind of are, kind of aren't. They've kind of come and gone over the years. But where it says every room has wall-to-wall creeps and hot and cold running chills, it was because it was going to like blast like AC at you, like fans, that would give you chills as the ghost went over your head. That's why we have that narration. Otherwise, it's just like, okay, that's nice that it has like, wall-to-wall creeps and things. But that's why we have the narration. So in the Disneyland version, you can actually see above your head, there's like a black scrim. The speakers for it are still there because that effect of like sound moving around was still very, very new in 1969. So it was going to be an effect that they used, but I think they didn't use it because we move so fast, like we move so fast through the scene. How in the world would we have gotten that full effect of it coming towards us? And
yeah, I mean, the other problem is you're not going to be able to do it for every car, right? And you want it for every single car. So like it would literally have to be like this the whole entire time, and it would look very strange, or you would just miss it, and it would give replayability or rewritability to the attraction to hope that you line up with that ghost coming at you, which kind of reminds me a lot of the opening scene of Ghostbusters when they're in the library. And that one ghost comes directly at the librarian, and she flips out. And then she gets covered in something that we will talk about later, ectoplasm, which I know a little bit of history about some ectoplasm and some seances, just saying. Did a little extra research. So I do have to find one more picture. So, all right, keep buffering and chatting.
So
yes.
One of the things that would have happened is they had designed these... gosh, what are they called? The suits of armor. They would actually rattle with each footstep. So they'd like rattle, and that's how part of the way with the sound of the footsteps, which actually they do in that narration. They say, "Shh, listen." It's because you're supposed to be listening for the footsteps that are coming towards you. So instead, what the knights did is the Disneyland version, I think, would lean forward like with his axe towards you. And the one in Florida would like shift side to side. So they have a little bit of a different motion. So unfortunately, they did have the one in Florida has speakers that actually follow you down the hallway, like a ghost is following you. And that sound effect has worked throughout the years. They've used it. I don't know if it's currently happening. So you'll have to listen next time you go in the Florida version to see if you can hear a ghost following you near the endless hallway. It's just very, very subtle. Yes, they are really different.
Yeah, I've never heard those footsteps, but now I will be actively listening for them. See, this is the thing that I absolutely love about this attraction is, no joke, and Kate got these texts. I'm like, Kate, I just took pictures of the fireplace, the doorways, and I think I found another one of these demon things. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, what are we doing here? And I promise you, I'm gonna ride the Haunted Mansion super, super late. So next week I'll have flash photography in the attic because that will be important to talking about those scenes. And I don't feel comfortable doing it if there's a billion people, but I will wait until the Haunted Mansion is like the last ride. So, you know?
Yeah, I'll see if I can find some online for of the Disneyland version.
There is a Instagram account that's called Photos of the Haunted Mansion with Flash or something. It's a real creative title, but that's basically all it is somebody who takes flash photos. But they're okay, so I don't know. I'm gonna try my best. We'll see how I do.
Yeah, that's very original. So the endless hallway. Oh, let's see if I can get this cleared for you guys. The endless hallway does look really long, and the reason it looks really long is because there is a mirror at the other side of it. There's a scrim between us and the candelabrum, so it makes it look a little bit more ghost-like, a little further away. And the back of the candelabrum is actually painted black, and that's why you don't see it reflected in the mirror.
Oh, that makes sense. Smart. Imagineering.
Yeah, so much. Oh, and fun fact, this one you probably already know, Kirk, but dropping stuff, sorry. The suits of armor in the 1980s, they had an idea that like Disneyland was getting stale or not as exciting, so they had live actors be inside the suits of armor and actually like jump scare people.
Which they had done that a couple of times for some of the like not so scary parties. They had done it like once or twice. So I'm like, man, that's such a cool additional effect, but also horrifying if you're used to the fact that they don't move.
Yeah, it actually terrified people so much that they would like hit them, and it was a hazard for the TMs, the actors that were playing it. So that didn't last long. We'll just say that they restored the original one. So, anyway, the only other thing I have, and I don't know if I have a picture. I might have a picture of it. Is the clock, which you mentioned briefly as I was running through Disneyland last week. The clock that has the 13 on it.
Oh, the demon clock.
Yeah, the big claw.
I'm pretty sure it's in here. Hang on. I'll find it.
Yeah, so that clock has that same effect. It uses that die cut thing that we talked about earlier. That also, same thing, the projection with the die cut. It's just a spinning circle with a projector that causes that shadow effect. And I have an actual picture of it.
There we go.
Thank you. Yes, the clock. Of course, the clock has eyes on it and whatnot, so it's supposed to look like it's watching you. But something that's really interesting about this clock is that it's the way that it suspends time. Because if you think about almost all the lands in Disney have a clock in them. Main Street has a clock. Tomorrowland used to have the world clock. Clocks are very prominent throughout Disney. It's like you know where you are, except for places where time is suspended, like the Jungle Cruise, where you're gone for a couple months, right? So this is like chaos of time. It's supposed to symbolize we're kind of entering this zone of like, we don't know what's going on or what time it is or where we are. It's supposed to be very, very disorienting, besides being creepy, because it's also that. So I love that concept of like time is just, we're like not even in time anymore.
Yeah, I never really thought of it in the sense of it being like symbology, you know, of just us being stuck. But yeah, I wonder. And there's something with 13 too. There's something demonic with the number 13. And I don't know if it's in the Bible or if it's in like astrology, but there's a significance to 13 as well.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and yes, well, we'll get to something more 13 in the Seance Room, which is where we're headed next, right? So, are you ready for the Seance Room? Should we take any questions before we move on? We covered a few things.
Let me see if I have anything else picture-wise.
I had a really cool photo of something from the Museum of the Weird with Raleigh Crump, like that he made a clock. And it looks like it's not exactly the same, but I think it's the inspiration for that clock, and I don't have it. So
it's this one. Hang on. So I showed this last week. Let me take you off this and then flip you around. Now this isn't the model of it, but this is the concept art of what it looked like. But it was called the demon clock or the grandfather coffin clock with a devil in the center. So that's normal.
Yeah. Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Thank you for
Mm-hmm.
pulling that up.
I got you, no problem. All right, sweet.
So do you guys have any questions for us before we move to Seance Room? Because the Seance Room's got its own wild history.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look back through here. I don't think there's too many.
I think we're good. I think we're gonna roll through. I don't see anybody asking anything. They're all just all struck with how intelligent you are and how I am somehow fumbling through this. Oh, the one thing that is cool, I just want to show this real quick. Disneyland Paris, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But their endless hallway has a bride running in it. It's like a legit wedding. So I don't know. I just really love that. So
Oh my God. I know. We have
it
to
is
go
time.
on
It
that.
is time for Madame Leota. Let's get ready. This is awaken your senses with my spirited caffeine because I'm a weirdo and I put her in a coffee mug. But she's really pulling the old seance crystal ball.
So there's a couple ways we can go about this. I do have a little bit of history about spiritualism for this, if we want to start there for kind of the inspiration for this.
Do you mean
then,
just seances in general?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we should. I also have I can give some real term stuff about seances that happens and particularly charlatans and ectoplasm itself. I did a little bit of a little behind the scenes, so
Okay, let me start with the Fox sisters, and then we'll pop to you for some of the seance stuff. How about that? So the Fox sisters were Leah, Margareta, and Catherine, or Kate. She went by Kate. I love that. And they were the ones that were kind of like, in 1848, they pulled a prank on their mom for April Fool's Day, where they were manifesting sounds. They had an apple on a string. They were trying to communicate with spirits. They made like raps and knocks and pops with their like joints, and they basically fooled her into thinking they were calling spirits forth. And their mom believed them so much, she called a neighbor over and said, "Hey, look at this, what is happening?" And the girls didn't admit that it was a joke for 50 years. And in that time, spiritualism was born out of that, where everybody started having these fake seances in these Victorian drawing rooms. And so they would have spirit cabinets that they would have like ghosts come out of. They would also, in the same time, we had double exposure photographs that started coming about because photography was really starting to get rolling at that time. And it was during the Industrial Revolution. So there was a lot of time with people losing jobs or because of factories and mass production. You have to think also they're headed towards the Union seceding in the South. And there was a lot of like turmoil. So people were looking for something new to kind of like distract them from everything that was going on. Sanderson sister vibes. Yes, I get that too. So and a lot of the early spiritualists were like, they were women because they could earn their own money that way, which is kind of unheard of at the time in Victorian era. So some people say it's kind of like an early feminism, but there's so why don't you talk a little bit about history seances, because that's like the birth of it.
Let me tie into those showmanship style Victorian seances, and I'm going to take a piece of the Book of the Dead that we're reading from the spell books. So I wanted to just take one little stanza. Wizards and witches, wherever you dwell, give us a hint by ringing a bell. Specifically, a lot of times in these seances, they would have bells rung up by string that it was super dark, you couldn't see the string, and they would ring the bell with their foot. So literally you'd hear a bell ringing and everyone would be like really drawn as if something was happening. But yeah, it was so the picture that's there, did the woman in the in the center, do you know what that is?
I have no.
Okay, so we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but I feel like we have to talk about this because this is a part of the showmanship. And here, I might as well show you this ludicrous picture of conjuring up. Let me open this in a new tab so there's just one picture open. So there was a very, very famous woman who would do seances, and nobody believed that she was telling the truth Her name was Duncan. I forget what her first name was, but she was a great showman, and she would produce ectoplasm, which was a slimy medium or substrate that would allow spirits to connect with the medium who is supposedly conjuring them. Well, this is ectoplasm on her face, which it sure looks like a muslin cloth coming out of her mouth that she probably just gummed up with her saliva. So in that picture, all you're seeing is somebody with a sheet on their head going, I have ectoplasm all over me, which was probably wet with something. And I'm not kidding. A lot of times, too, they would chew up paper or newspaper and spit it on themselves and pretend that the ectoplasm was coming out of their mouths and it was just newspaper. Gross. But that was how they faked it. Now, how does ectoplasm tie into the seance room? Can I go into a little bit of that? You can go into the probably the specifics of how the effect is done, or if not,
Yes.
I can. But
Yes.
let me see. Do I have a picture of it, or do I have to Google it? I might have to Google it. I thought I had a
I
picture
had
of
a
it.
picture, and I must not have put it. It's on my phone, which I can't get to because it's using for the live.
Uh-huh. Let me buffer. Do you want to start talking about
Yeah.
so well, hang on, ready? I can give a little bit of context as I set it up. So ectoplasm is important because it's showing that the spirits are coming alive. It's proving that the medium is working and bringing things up. When we're in the seance room, Leota is literally conjuring the spirits for you to physically see, manifesting them into visibility versus before they were all hidden and integrated in the story. But we want to physically see them. That's why the ballroom scene, you actually can see specters for the very first time. The ectoplasm here in Walt Disney World is just a green, almost like a will-o'-the-wisp. It's like a laser against a wall, almost just like etching in. And that's supposed to denote that ectoplasm. It's actually called green ectoplasm. And I believe in the Disneyland version, I saw a picture where some of the hallway ghosts, the portrait gallery ghosts, show up. The ones that you all can see in the
Well,
swinging wake, but that didn't happen until like the I think it was like 2006 or maybe 2010.
2006, and now it's gone. It's not there anymore.
Oh, it was a thing and now it's not a thing.
Yeah, it was, and a lot of people said it was the Hatbox Ghost, but it's like probably a combination of the Hatbox Ghost and all of the pop-up ghosts in the graveyard, just like in the endless, not the endless hallway, the corridor of doors where we see all the portraits that are hanging, because those are the same pictures. I think they just used the same ones for those projections, from what I've
Yeah,
seen.
no, it was the exact same ones because you could tell the pictures were, especially that one that's like a real ghoul and he's like elongated and sunken in and like kind of screaming. We see
Mm-hmm.
him, he's the guy who's hang on, ready? Pretend this is a gravestone.
Right. Ah!
And they get me, dude. I'll be looking and I'll be staring at stuff and it's like right in the periph. It gets right in there and it's like, oh, gee, come on. Come on, dude. What do you...
Oh, goodness. Well, the effect of that, while you're looking for the picture, the way that it is created in the Florida version is it's kind of hard to explain, but it's not projected. It's a mechanical device that is behind a scrim that's painted with glow in the dark paint. So it has two crossbars that are moving up, down, left, right, kind of almost randomly. And where the bulbs cross, or where the bars cross, there's a standard light bulb that is like almost like an etch-a-sketch. It's like tracing the lines. And so in the morning, you only see a very faint line. But as the day goes on, it gets larger and stronger because it's been going all day and it's had more time to charge, so to speak, as anything that's glow in the dark does.
Yeah, it reminds me of like burn-in that you get on like a plasma TV where it
Yeah.
remains that ghostly like etching afterglow when you turn off the TV.
Yeah.
Or like glow in the dark, anything, you're right. It gets better the longer it's has a light source on it.
Yes. So it's really interesting to see if you ride early in the day versus late in the day, how different that effect looks, because it is affected by how long it's been running. So
Mm-hmm.
another thing that you mentioned, and I'm trying to find my notes on it, is something that was really interesting to me is, so all of the stuff that's in the seance room is actually like based off of like charlatans, right? Were like not real things. They were
Yeah,
seance.
yeah. So like so these are like fake things that would move and do things that they could do and reproduce to pretend,
Oh
right?
wait, I have concept art for that too. Oh, so
Real versus concept art. Oh, where's the
so
cat though? I want that cat to be
I
chilling in
know
the
the
air.
cat. Yeah, and but anyway, so the idea of the seance room was very much everybody kind of knew it was a charlatan thing. So why would they put it in the haunted mansion where we're actually manifesting real ghosts? And the interesting thing is it would not work. It would be just a charlatan thing, except Madame Leota is has passed. She is a spirit herself, so she's able to manifest the ghosts for real, even in this like synthetic fake way, because she is a spirit herself. And I never really like thought about that before, but I'm like, it's true. That's how she's able to manifest the ghosts because she's part of the spirit world,
Mm-hmm.
which we should probably talk about Madame Leota since we're here now.
Why not? There she is.
Do you want to talk about the effect and then I'll talk about some of the other things?
So the effect is actually really simple, and I think I have. Do I have a picture of that? I don't think I have a picture of that. I think I have a picture of Pepper's ghosts. Does Boundless have a picture of the effect, like the inner workings of it? But basically, it's really simple. It's a projection on a bust, right?
Yep. They like held her head very, very still.
So
So,
very very similar to the way that they did the Mellow Men in the graveyard scene. They basically were in almost like a. I feel bad for these guys. They literally were put like in a vice. So
yeah.
there are two people. I do have pictures of these guys. There are two people that are utilized in here. So it's two characters or actors, or I should say actresses. The first one would be the Imagineer. Leota Toombs is the face. And here she is working on the Country Bears.
Mhm.
So that is Leota Toombs, and Toombs is spelled with two O's. And then we have Eleanor Audley, which you all know Eleanor Audley as the voice of Maleficent and Lady Tremaine. So the voice of Madame Leota is Eleanor Audley, and which I think she could have been the face for this too, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, she looked great, but I love that they used Leota Tombs. But they literally put their heads in like a vice because the movement projector, remember the projector couldn't move. And it's going onto a immovable object. This when I say bust, like you're talking about just like a head, like shoulders up, right? So imagine the actor is like this. So one of the things that they made them do is be very expressive with their face to show movement because they couldn't actually show movement. So that's why even when they're singing or Leota is talking, it's like very like like lots of eyebrow, nose, mouth. Like it's because they had to be expressive within the domain of the head vice that was being recorded on them.
True. And so Leota, she didn't used to float. She floats now. She used to be like
Yeah,
she used to be sitting on the table. And the interesting thing is this actually was part of the effect that they had was because she was on the table in at least in Disneyland, you could not see her until you got a third of the way through the room. So it seemed like an empty chair was voice was coming from an empty chair. And then eventually they made her float so that was not true anymore. But this picture is also interesting because you can see the spirit cabinet that's in the back, which was one of
yeah,
those things in Hunter
like rapping
Spirits.
in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
so
the floating Leota was in 2005, and then 2 years later, so in 2007, is when that gag gets introduced into Walt Disney World.
yeah,
Oh, that's
this is
original concept art.
yeah, like that's what we saw at Disneyland last week, and this is somebody coming out of the spirit cabinet, which you can see, but also has a
Ooh,
floating table effect as well. So
I'm scared. Is anybody else scared?
yeah.
All right, so I have other concept art. Do you want to see a more voluptuous, curvy Leota? So this
Yes.
was one of the original concept arts for Leota, and more of like a gypsy, if you will. So if we're going and hearkening back to being a charlatan, that's what they were kind of going for was this fake. I like how like I don't know what is going on in the back there. Why are there all those circles? Is like her dress caught? Like what? Do you know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. It's
And
almost
this
like they
is
how to
this
use
is
that
Mark
for the
Davis
in
who
the
did this.
graveyard, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then here's one actually filmed in with the cat. I also love how it does show the tambourine, it shows the trumpet, it shows the bell, it shows a ghost coming out of the ball. So like Leota was a physical person, a charlatan here, and then the spirits were coming out instead of Leota being a spirit herself. We also are showing bats in here. I love that little look at that little table with the drapes, and the bell is shown here as well in this concept art, which is another this one is an actual colorization by Mark Davis. And then here's a creepier version also
Yeah.
by Mark Davis, which shows more of those elements floating in the sky. So, like a spirit, some sort of winged wolf, cat.
They like your,
What's
lots of
up?
cats. They like your
Yeah.
cat. There's
Well, look,
cats like,
look, there's more
every
cats. There's
more
like
cats.
every
There's
time we get
cats.
another picture, there's more cats. There's owls. There's a gator. I mean, come on, where's this gator at? I guess it's in the
I like
stretching
the
room.
gator.
But look at Leota. She's super creepy. And inside, doesn't that look like the
Cat ghost.
Hatbox Ghost a little bit? Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, that's so interesting.
And then
Well, I know.
here's a picture of Leota Tomb's face on that actual bust. So here's what it looks like on a very very simple form on a sculpture. So really cool element though. I mean, it gave I don't know. It's really unique. It's a simple. It's so simple, but yet it I don't know. It like 2D versus 3D is so impressive. You know.
Yeah, it's very effective. And so like the original crystal ball concept came from like Mark Davis sketches, but putting her in the ball was kind of a Yale Gracie idea. And it came from the movie Inner Sanctum, the films from Universal, of actually like it had a face that was floating in a jar or a crystal ball. That's where that original concept came from. They got it from those movies. But it's like the crystal ball also was, if you had a crystal ball, you were considered like a charlatan for sure. So the crystal ball itself is a symbol of illegitimacy. Just kind of interesting. It's like it's not real. But because she is a spirit, an actual spirit, it makes it legitimate. It's such an
Hmm.
interesting, like, is this real or not real?
I mean, if you look at even like the lamp, right? Like this looks like Mediterranean style, something that could easily have been from Western Europe in like a traveling style minstrel or like gypsy style show, which would have definitely happened and been thematic for the timeline. The other thing that we mentioned before is that the one of the original ghost hosts was going to be a bird. So the raven, obviously Edgar Allan Poe's very famous poem is a part of the inspiration for choosing a raven. But the raven is seen here multiple times, like in the is that the conservatory where Exitenzio's coming out of the coffin? You see him there. You see him in going into the crypt.
He's in the
There's
ballroom, at least in Disneyland. I think he's in the ballroom. He's when you go backwards out of the attic,
he's over on the roof.
he's in the trees and
Trees.
Disney East, yeah. And then when
Hmm.
you go out of the graveyard, he's like perched up there, right when you before you see the hitchhiking ghost.
Yeah.
So I also have some of Leota's incantations, the audio of it that were never used. I don't know if you want to hear them real quick.
Yeah, and I also have, so I'm gonna throw this out here. We're not making it to the ballroom tonight, and that's okay because there's no way we're setting foot in the ballroom without taking our time. And
Yeah.
I have easily three really cool things to add, and one of which is gonna have to be the Book of the Dead.
Oh yeah, we
So,
gotta
but
talk
yeah,
about that.
why don't you read some of these incantations, which this is the actual book that's shown within the Haunted Mansion itself. Note there 13 is used everywhere, 1312, 1313, and guess what is also on that book? Does that look familiar, Kate?
Oh yeah, that was
That would
the
be
wasn't
the front Haunted Mansion symbol. So on the top of the Haunted Mansion logo in the front when you're entering into the mansion. So yeah, these are the incantations or the ways that Leota is bringing the spirits to life. Yeah, but press play, please.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. And then I'll say one more thing in the book afterward. These are the incantations that were never used. So these ones never made it into the show. Let me see if I can get it to play. Just kidding. Why is it?
On toads and lizards, fiddle and strum. Please answer the roll by beating a drum.
Dum 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 dum.
She had more.
Furies, old friends and new. Blow on a horn, so we'll know that it's you.
Burp.
Blowing a horn. So it's like a drum and a horn. Those were two that were never used in her incantations. So I always thought that was fascinating. And in that book, it says 1313, and that's actually reference to the address of Disneyland.
There's another incantation. I don't think you ever heard it before. I don't think it was ever recorded. It was in a script, and it said, "Yo, ghosts, I think you are really a hoot, and if you're chilling in here, just play on that flute." But I don't think they ever recorded it. They loved instruments on this.
You didn't make that up. Is that real?
Dude, you think that's real? Like, literally, that was off the cuff ridiculousness. No, that's not real. That's not a real thing.
I'm so gullible. You can't do that to me. I'll be like, what?
Yeah, but didn't it give it away when I was like, "Yo, dude and bro, we're," like.
I mean, I don't know. Like, that's like the 1980s, 90s, like revision script.
Hey guys, I just realized that we are all alone. So if you can hear this, can you slide on that trombone? I got a couple more of these if we want to keep going. Give me a.
Oh my gosh. Oh, everybody's going over to personally throw tomatoes at you. So
I am getting all the tomatoes right now, which I deserve. But like.
Yeah, Jackie
walking.
says. Oh, so no.
I got one
Jackie
more. Give me one. Give me one more.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead. I'll get my tomatoes ready.
On the train tracks, you may see a hobo, but don't be alarmed because he's playing an oboe. Come on, that's a tough instrument to add in there.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done. I'll stop talking.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I don't see. Jackie
I can't help myself. You're playing these ridiculous things.
Jackie said she thought it was weird that there's other instruments in the seance room, and I'm like, yeah, that's why. That's why there's other instruments, is because they were in the script originally, and they did record it, and they just never used them. Like, and somewhere there's going to be cats, apparently more cats, all the cats. But so let's talk about the instruments and how they move, because the ones that go up and down in the seance room they use something that Mapo developed for the 1964 World's Fair, which is called a balloon hoist. And that's called that because it was used in Small World to lift the balloons down. So the same mechanism to lift the balloons up and down is the exact same one they use in the seance room to lift the instruments up and down.
Also, fun fact, I'm not a fan of Mapo because they give me night terrors, those clowns. They are the scariest part of Small World, are the ones in the balloons. And they are right at your head. It's worse than the graveyard ghouls that we have in the Haunted Mansion.
I don't know if Mapo didn't make the dolls. They made the mechanism that made them
move. But they made them get close to me. They didn't have to make them get close. They could have put them far away. But no, they like to launch them slowly at me as we're broken in Small World.
Oh my goodness. Well, so the flying instruments also came from some early magicians, the Davenport brothers. And so this is where that concept comes from, of the instruments flying around. It came from the Davenport brothers.
Yeah, which is I saw that concept art just earlier today, which is really cool.
The Davenport brothers also had their own kind of spirit cabinet. You can see instruments coming out of it too.
Which, it's funny, Houdini also had some fun illusions that utilized a lot of these seance experiences. So and people thought that he was extremely spiritual, even though he just point blank said that no, these are illusions. Like they're not real. There are certain things that he did, like the escapism things were, but any of the others were illusions. So,
right. Well, and Jackie just said also the Philharmagic has flying instruments. That's an interesting connection there too.
it does. It does. I
Yeah.
mean, there's lots of flying instruments in the beginning and the end of that, and then of course all around the actual physical auditorium are in like bronze versions of instruments.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I did find, this is kind of unrelated to that, but I forgot that I had this photo when we were talking about ectoplasm. So the ectoplasm there.
Ooh.
This is a photo effect they used to use to try to make things appear haunted. It would be the
Well,
ectoplasm.
you guys have seen these style of effects probably on TikTok or other things where somebody literally goes behind with like a pen light and will do it real quick, but they'll do it at night and it'll have this like glowing like orb effect just like that, which I'm sure they probably used back then, either a candle or some other artificial light source, but more than likely a candle. Looking at the guy who's in there, I doubt they have like a battery operated something. Although they might
I
have
know
had.
that.
There was actually a really cool. I saw this one guy who had like a miner's like light, and it was almost like a what would look like a metallic dish that the flame went in, and then it refracted out the light further, and they would use it to draw on the walls or on crates because it was just physically a flame. I wouldn't be surprised if they use that to do that effect as well.
Yeah.
Sparklers. I don't, when did sparklers get designed? I have no idea.
Oh no, Chinese fireworks go way back, right? So
I know, but like sparklers themselves as a hang on, now I gotta look that up. All right. So anyway,
I will say that I'm just looking at my other seance notes here. The rapping sound on the table is a mechanical knocker that's on the underside of the table. So sorry if that's a spoiler alert. Sorry if you didn't want to know what
Chinese
that was.
fireworks were the in the sixth century, so in in the 600s. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a.
670 AD, which is insane.
So they could have had sparklers in that photo. We don't know.
Baby,
Maybe.
you're a firework. Come on, let your ectoplasm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is my comic relief for the week. Thank you, Kirk.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Um.
I'm here.
Oh, we didn't mention something in the spell book.
Yeah, can we please talk about the spell book in general? Because the spell book is what's the name of it? Hang on. It's from Evil Dead. What's they have the Book of the Dead, but there's the Necronomicon. That's what it's called. So the actual book has a name. It's the Book of the Dead or the Necronomicon.
Yeah.
And within here, hang on, let me go back to the creepy book. And then we'll also, I want to touch on one more thing that I have about Memento Mori. So I'm just going to put a pin in that. But go ahead.
Okay.
Chat book.
Well, the spell itself that is in there, well, you have that picture up, so I'll say that face, that is the face of the Hatbox Ghost as well. It's like
Is
the
it?
same. Yeah, it's a very similar, it's kind of like a little creepier version of him, but it's
Well,
pretty much
yeah,
the
I mean, this is the death. So obviously the Grim Reaper. And he has that,
Wait, I
is
can
that
kind of show
a
here.
scythe or a sickle?
That's
Okay.
him.
Hang on. Let's get in there.
Mhm.
Man, he's so
It's like
handsome, isn't he?
he's gorgeous. I feel like he's having a bad hair day like every day. I just want to go help him with his hair. Um, so so there's for that side, and then the other side, the spell that's in there is from Blackbeard's Ghost, the movie Blackbeard's Ghost from 1967. It used to conjure up Blackbeard, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I can
haven't
see that.
need to watch that movie, but yeah, it's I need to watch so many of these old movies, guys. I'm like so terrible with Disney movie trivia. Like parks trivia, I got it all day long. Movie trivia, people are like, you know Disney, and I'm like, oh no, I don't know that.
Yep.
um, yeah, I think that's that's my main things for that. What do you got?
Did you have anything else about the spell section? Because you said you were going to go off a little bit on this. If you don't, I have something.
That's my main things about that. So go for it.
Cool. So on the top of death, we have Memento Mori. Why do we know Memento Mori? Because that's the name of our gift shop. But why is that significant? Well, it is a Latin phrase, Memento Mori, is that remember that you have to die. Now, you would think like, oh, that's horrible and morbid, but it's not. It's really a concept that if you only have one life to live, then you should really live your best life because everyone is going to die. That is a certainty. So if it's a certain thing, if there's only one certainty in life is that you are going to die, then you should be putting out your best efforts. And this concept really gets rooted in some Christianity as well. And the way that they would always kind of depict this is with a danse macabre, or death with a sickle, as the Grim Reaper. Now, why is this also significant? Well, if we go into Memento Mori and the actual gift shop, Memento Moris were also photographs of people who had passed away. And the reason why is because photographs were very expensive. So most of the time, the only time you would get your picture taken is when you died. Originally in the, I don't know what era or year these were, but one of these people in these photos are dead. And I know that's so gross and graphic and creepy, but guess what? If you go into Memento Mori now, there are pictures of Memento Moris of someone being passed away. Like, I can't believe in Disney they have pictures of legitimately deceased people, and they're actually a collector's piece. There are some people who view them as art and collect them, and you can actually still view them in Disney World today. It's actually right where the pin trading is. So you're like, oh, you know what? I've always wanted to get a pin. Oh, look, there's a dead person. But most people wouldn't know because they do them up with makeup and nice fancy clothes because it was so expensive to get a photo back then. Why on earth? Like, wait until just take a photo. Like, if you're gonna do it, why wait? I don't know why they would wait.
It was too expensive, but like Rick says, they used to take creepy portraits in there too. They used to take photos in Memento Mori.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't. You know what? I've never taken a creepy photo in there. Maybe I should now. I'll go in there and just be like,
can we do it when I'm there? We could do one together, like a super creepy photo.
We have to get like really fancy dressed, like on a dapper day, So, yeah. Sweet.
Well, I have one last thing.
I love it.
Dude,
I like how we went back in time and did nothing, like in terms of like really moving that much further. We got through the Seance Room. There's so much going on. It's like, how do you not? Yeah. I bet next week, this is just my Madame Leota crystal ball, and I am a charlatan. I'm guessing we get through the ballroom and that's it. Because the attic's going to need its own section. And then the graveyard easily is 1, maybe 2 episodes. The crypt is probably an episode to exiting, and then the cemetery, and then we have to do the variations. So we probably have at least 6 or 7 more of these to go. How many months do you guys have?
Yeah. We're gonna be here.
Do you remember when we did Pirates in 2.5 hours? It makes me want to go back and redo Pirates, doesn't it? We'll do that another time. We'll have to move on. I think in the Discord, once we're done this, I feel like this is like the Iliad. This is truly an epic poem of history, and probably the most all-encompassing history of the Haunted Mansion that has ever been recorded. Only reason why I can say that is the only thing I've seen that's longer than this is that Wedway radio episode, which was about 6 hours long, maybe 5 hours long across 4 episodes. I think we're going to smash them with like no joke. It's probably going to be 15 hours.
Yeah, you have to be committed if you want to hear this whole series on the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah,
we're really glad you guys are all here watching with. And that, that adds to my kind of like my final thought about the Seance Room is The seance room is the only place in the haunted mansion where you're actually looking at other people, because it makes a circle and you look across at other people. So it's actually supposed to have a calming effect that we're all in this together, even as we head into the unknown after the seance room. So, we're all in this together, friends.
Yeah, well, I mean, Leota was headed up, so I totally get that. The ballroom. Here's what's cool about the seance room is it actually does have a Who put a Western hat on you?
I love it. Rhonda, thank you for that. That was the
So
best moment ever.
it's a good non sequitur. If like we're going long in the tooth, just throw a Western hat on us and we'll move it along. The the one thing I love about it is really we don't see ghosts except for the shadow. We don't really see ghosts until after the seance room. So the seance room in this way is actually not a charlatan because it actually brings the ghosts out to life. I'm very excited to celebrate someone's death day next week over in the ballroom too. So little spoiler, or not spoiler, a little teaser of Death Day. I don't even know what Death Day is, Kate. I hope we talk about it.
I know. Well, it's like Day of the Dead, but not Day of the Dead. I don't know. I'm excited.
It's not. But I think it involves cake, so I'm into it.
It might involve some cake. Look at me not giving away things because you're asking.
No.
Learning.
Do you remember, what was that? Where were you at where I kept on asking you things? Oh, we got to move it on, partners. It sounds like we're getting a little long in the tooth. Thank you, Robbie, for that. I appreciate it. Moving along. But there was seriously a point where, was it during the Haunted Mansion where I was goading you, or was it in Pirates? I think it was in Pirates. I was writing Pirates on a stream, and I kept on asking really dumb, obvious, like things that I know you would have a problem not answering. And I would watch just like huge chat blurbs, and I'm like, I'm just messing with you. We're literally going to do this next week on the thing. And you're like, I know, but I can't help it.
It was painful. I just want to answer the questions.
Mm-hmm.
What I was built to do was answer the questions. Anyway, that was fun though. You
Yeah, it was a good time.
You have a porg? Was that really?
Well, I can't leave this episode without bringing up this porg. So on Wednesday night, we were at Hollywood Studios, and we ended up just for Kenobi. Kenobi came out today, so for the streaming of Star Wars and Kenobi, we want to celebrate by doing some Star Wars stuff. So we rode Star Tours. We ended up looking at the gift shops for all the Star Wars stuff. We were going to do Launch Bay, but they closed early, so we ended up having to pivot. And I ended up telling the story like Olaf of the first 6 movies very quickly via Porg in the gift shop. And people were having so much fun that they thought, hey, it'd be really fun to like continue this. So they pressed it upon me to purchase this. And for the entire rest of the episode, this Porg has a name, and his name is Rebel. Do you want to say hi to Rebel?
Hello, Rebel.
Hey, what's happening, Toots? What are you doing? You dress like a maid, but what are you doing over here? How are things?
Have you ever seen your relative in the Haunted Mansion, the Raven? Is he a friend of yours?
Well, they quote him nevermore. You know what I mean? So I don't really see him that much anymore. But I do see his buddy Poe Dameron. I see him all the time. You know what I mean? So this is basically how the entire Rad Tea Party went. I had a good time. Yeah, so says you. I had a terrible time, Kate. Don't believe this guy. So, yeah, we basically hung out the entire time. And they asked me to bring Rebel on tonight. And he's going to have to come to the parks with me more often. Great. I'm so excited. Well, all right. I'm excited to spend more time with you. I got to get better at ventriloquism now. You got to get better at a lot of things, bud. Okay. All right. Yeah, I get it. So this is my life now. Yeah, I'm not happy about it.
I don't even know what to say.
Just say, that was a great episode. Thanks for hanging out. Be a professional, Kate. Get it together.
Oh, be professional. I can be professional. Not while you're doing that, girl. Oh my goodness.
You seriously do a show with this? She's a historian and she does this professionally? Well, I mean, we don't get paid. Yeah, obviously you don't get paid. Nobody would pay for this.
It's worth what you pay for it, I guess, is what we got.
Yeah, I thought. I really
don't have words. I don't have words, but I'm, yes, Rebel. I tell you what. I will say that. Have to be special.
No joke. His name came from, we rode Star Tours, and me and Rebel were the Rebel spy. That's where his name came from. Yeah,
oh
so gosh. Literally I have a video of me holding the gimbal with the phone, headphones in, me with glasses on, and Rebel like this. And we were the Rebel spy. Yeah, you really held in the secrets. I'll tell you that much. It was like, Kate, less than 30 seconds telling the Empire where we were. Not a good spy.
That is, no. I think my daughter, when she met Kylo Ren once, he asked her, like, will you, like, spy for us? And she said yes, of course. And then when she walked away, she told me, she was like, no, I lied to him, Mom. I would never do that. And I was like, all right.
I think you would figure that he would have recognized that, with his dark side powers,
Yeah.
It looks like I'm going to have to force you guys to finish this episode. This is never ending. Like that hallway. Never ends.
This hallway never ends.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for this ridiculousness. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight for Distory for the Haunted Mansion. We really just love having you guys here, seeing your comments. We are seeing all of your comments and laughing along with you. Sometimes we don't want to interrupt each other, so we don't respond right away. But
yeah, there's a lot of time I get yelled at for not responding to comments, but a lot of times, like, I'm doing visual representations of, like, thank you or okay or whatever, because not everything necessarily needs to be read out loud, and this is more of like a show where we're doing more of like a teaching. So, like, imagine it more like a lecture, and although there are points where interject, it still is, it's more of like a teaching style, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, but we really do appreciate all of you guys hanging with us. And next week, get ready for the ballroom, because it is literally the center of the Haunted Mansion. It is in the center of the Haunted Mansion, and it is the center of the story of the Haunted Mansion. So you will not want to miss next week's episode. Same time, with same bad channel, same bad time. I don't know how that goes, but same time next week.
Yeah. What?
The fork is getting me. I'm trying to be professional here, Kirk.
Well, listen, it's your first time. I understand. You're a little awestruck. There's a saying for that.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's awestruck from your gloriousness. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do have a. This is a. What are you looking at, dude? Not much.
Oh my gosh. Jackie says I have to go back and watch Red Tea Party. I think she's right. I'm sad.
Yeah, it's it was a little, it was much, but it was a fun time.
That's how it always is with you, Kirk, but I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts from you or Rebel?
No, I'm just excited for next. I'm just excited for next week to finally get into the ballroom, which will be nice, because the ballroom just has so many nuanced little extra stories and whatnot that I just think you guys will enjoy some of the backstory of some of the ghosts that you normally, you see, but you don't know that they have, like, some sort of history behind them. So, that's how I feel.
It's so much. We might get to the attic, maybe. We'll see.
No, I'm just calling it. There's no way, because we have to go through, like, how Pepper's ghosts work. I'll bring examples of other Pepper's ghosts. Like, why would you rush all the, and almost every little segmented part of the ballroom has a character, or has a reused audio animatronic, or has a backstory, or has a gravestone. So I just feel like that is I don't know. There's so much. There's too much. So.
Yeah. I think everybody should bring their birthday cake, their death day cake, the cake. We should bring some cake to this episode. I think like that should be a thing because we're celebrating in the ballroom all
We
together.
are. We are. It is a swinging wake. So, you know.
Well, that is all I have for this evening.
Yeah, me too. You got anything, dude? Luckily, this is ending. You're a man of very many words. I think he's ready for his weekend to start. So, you know.
Me too. I'm
Yeah.
ready.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us again for another Rad Tea Party. Another Distory with Kate. He's bothering me, dude. Like, he won't stop. I got a problem. Yeah. Dude, just give me 1 second, all right? So yes, another Distory with Kate and Kirk. We're going into the ballroom next week, and then after that, the attic, and then after that, we'll fall out of the attic or walk down the attic. Boring. We should get some audio from the record so we can talk about that because that record recording does kind of clean that up and give us some more canonized section. Then we have the grave, then we have the crypt, then we have the exit, and then we have the cemetery for us, which I think we can join our pet cemeteries, even though yours is in the entrance queue and ours is in the exit queue. I think that still has purpose. And then we should probably do Memento Mori and then all the variations. So we probably have another 7 to 10 to go. So buckle up, kids. It's going to be a wild ride.
Yes, but I feel like maybe in the Discord at some point we should do some polls about, you know, let them choose what we do after we get done with the Haunted Mansion, you know, like 3 years from now.
Like what attraction will we do next? I think is a good thing for everybody. So
yeah, I think that would be fun to let everybody kind of have a little say in that because that would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, overall for us, clearly Haunted Mansion is something we're so passionate about. Like for It's a Small World, we could do probably 3 to 4 episodes, but we would not elongate it to this amount of time. You know what I mean? I think it's just because you and I are enjoying also the learning process because there is an active participation of us doing research every single week for these shows. So
yeah, I think like something like Small World, maybe like 2 episodes on that, just because like it's also not everybody's favorite. There's a lot of people who don't like that one. So, but you know, but there's so I'm excited. I'm excited for all the things ahead, and this is definitely one of my favorite parts of this week, hanging out with you and everybody else watching. So thank you for hanging out. And Rebel, of course, can't forget Rebel.
He's a new one. Jackie doesn't like that he talks the way he talks, but you know, years of misuse of death sticks and Hey, buddy, you're not my sponsor. I've already moved on. It was a long part of my life. I moved on. Okay. But that's how he talks. He's gone through a lot.
Poor guy. Gotta take care of him. Treat him nice this weekend.
I will.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I'll see you, Kate.
I'll see you all next week.
See you guys.
Thanks for hanging with us.